country. We know that this has impacted undocumented immigrants who in Los Angeles are Angelenos because we don't make the distinction. They are neighbors and workers contributing to our city, and they continue to be swept up in these actions, denied their rights, and subjected to fear and uncertainty without legal protection. But we're now concerned that there's not so much attention that is being paid to this in Los Angeles. But we will continue to say that this is not acceptable. We will continue to resist normalizing and accepting this, even though there has been what I consider an egregious decision from the Supreme Court that has essentially said that racial profiling is okay. But we know in the history of our country, the Supreme Court has stood for justice, and the Supreme Court has stood for injustice at certain periods of time. And when the Supreme Court has backed injustice, such as segregation and Jim Crow, it took mass social movements to have a new Supreme Court that would stand with the American people. So in addition to undocumented individuals being detained, we also know that legal residents, people who were attending court hearings, were detained, and we now know that there is evidence of over 170 U.S. citizens who have been detained. And it's important that we say today that what is happening to undocumented immigrants is also happening to U.S. citizens, which means that this can happen to anyone, to all of us at any period of time. I have had meetings with many organizations, many of the organizations that are represented here today. We have met and we've talked about what do we do now in this time period. One thing that we know is we continue to draw attention to this issue. But on Friday, I held a meeting with one coalition called One LA, and they talked about the need and the desire to begin documenting this injustice, and that maybe we should have field hearings to begin to document it, because when injustice is documented, then when things change politically, laws can be put in place so that this never happens again. Well, I knew that in this area we were so fortunate to have a member of Congress right from our county, former mayor of Long Beach, who was elected to Congress just a couple of years ago. That's right. Who was elected by his peers to be the lead Democrat on the Government Reform and Oversight Committee. That is the committee that conducts investigations. And so I called my friend and colleague, Congressman Garcia, and I talked to him about this idea of having hearings and asked him, would he lead an investigation into this injustice, and would he lead the effort to have hearings so that we can make sure that this never happens again. And so with that, I'd like to ask the ranking member, the lead Democrat from the Government Reform and Oversight Committee, Congressman Robert Garcia. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I just want to first just thank you all for being here, especially, of course, all the incredible activists and leaders and organizers, members of the council, but especially I want to thank Mayor Bass. And I think there are few leaders, not just here locally, but across the country, that have done more, spoken out more forcefully, have been able to actually bring community together the way the mayor has done this, not just here in Los Angeles, but as a leader for the country on immigration, on issues of justice, and ensuring that people have basic dignity. I want to thank you, Mayor, for your work. And one of the great benefits of our mayor here in Los Angeles is she understands Congress. And having served in Congress, she also knows the ability for us to hold those accountable that are harming our people here in our communities and in our country. Now, we know that right now, Donald Trump and Kristi Noem are terrorizing immigrants, working people, the people of Los Angeles and of our state every single day. They violate the law and they violate the Constitution. They forget that the Constitution protects all persons and provides due process, not just for citizens, but for all people.
That's right.
We're here to remind Donald Trump and Kristi Noem that we will hold them accountable for their unlawful actions against our community and the United States Constitution. And while Kristi Noem sends her agents, deputizes ICE and other law enforcement to terrorize communities, she has now just yesterday purchased 2 private luxury jets at $170 million so she can travel around and continue her reign of terror on people across this country. But we're not going to back down. Now, Mayor Bass, I'm grateful for your support and your leadership. Mayor Bass and I talked just last week, and she is committed to ensuring that every single moment of terror, of injustice that happens here in Los Angeles and really across the country is recorded, and that we take note of every instance where people are being harmed. And so today I want to announce that the House Oversight Committee Democrats are going to record and create an investigative unit here to ensure that in Los Angeles we look into every single brutal misconduct that ICE is committing. And it's not just going to be in the House. I'm also excited to announce that the Senate and Senator Blumenthal has agreed that the Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations will join the Oversight Democrats to ensure that this is being done in conjunction with both the House and the Senate. So what does this mean? Beginning today, we are demanding that all records and documents, particularly when citizens have also been detained, and how officers are treating citizens and those being detained, are available to our committee. We want to understand what they're doing in our neighborhoods, how it is being funded. And our committee is looking at tracking and investigating DHS, Kristi Noem, and all the misconduct, brutality, and also these new arrests that are happening of U.S. citizens. Over 170 citizens are being arrested. Why? Because they look like me. Because they are of Latino origin. Or because they are suspected to not be a U.S. citizen, but because they're suspected of crimes that they have not committed. We know that right now in these detention facilities, a majority of the people that are being detained have not committed a crime. Now, we're looking forward to partnering with the City of Los Angeles and the entire LA delegation, including the City Council, to ensure that we are investigating also these wrongful deaths that are happening in ICE custody. Now, some of you may know I actually flew to El Salvador earlier this year to try and advocate for the conditions of those folks who are being held in foreign prisons, which is now happening under Secretary Noem. We must go everywhere and protect every person that we can. I also want to announce, and this is really honestly to the suggestion of the mayor, and I thank her for this, we'll be holding the very first hearing from Oversight and the Senate here in Los Angeles. And I want to invite the community. At this hearing, we want the community to come and share their stories of terror, share the stories of their family members that are being unjustly treated. And so we can take account of every single harm that is being done, because we will hold folks accountable. And I want to say one last thing, which is really important. Democrats might be in the minority right now, but we still have the power to investigate.
That's right.
But when we win the majority and have the power to subpoena and have the power to get any document, have the ability to bring anyone forward to our committee, we are not just only going to hold Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller accountable for what they've done. Our message is clear. if you are out there and you are taking orders and committing these illegal actions, we are going to hold you accountable. And we're going to ensure that there is justice for the people of Los Angeles, California, and the entire country. Mayor Bass, I thank you for the invitation, and we look forward to launching this investigation.
I would now like to introduce Jessica Sanchez, the Director of Street Medicine Teams at St. John's Community Health Center.
Hello, my name is Jessica Sanchez. I'm the director of the street medicine team at St. John's Community Health. I was part of the...
All right, we were listening there to a press conference with Mayor Karen Bass and the top Democrat on the House and Oversight and Government Reform Committee, Congressman Robert Garcia, and they're criticizing the recent immigration arrests that we've seen here and around the country since June, with Mayor Bass pointing out that 170, she says, U.S. citizens have been detained in those arrests, and she's calling on Congressman Garcia to investigate these arrests to make sure that U.S. citizens are not being detained.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, she's talking about that she doesn't believe there's been enough attention paid as of recently after things kind of died down with the National Guard troops leaving the area. So now calling upon federal enforcement to come and take a look at these things. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic that's playing out here, where we didn't want the federal government involved in the immigration raids themselves, but now need them to look at what has transpired here, with a focus also on the Supreme Court and what Mayor Bass believes has been racial profiling in these cases. So we'll continue to listen to this press conference as it unfolds and see if there's anything else announced in it. And if there is, we will bring that to you.
All right, but right now we want to talk about more couples being willing to move in sooner, and not just because they love each other, because money's a factor. A study by rental company Apartments.com found that a quarter of couples it surveyed moved in together within the first 6 months of their relationship, and 33% said they did so to save money on